Okay, so we're back and I'm looking at this. And I originally thought that I was going to take off the whole upper chassis. Turns out I'm not going to have to, because I just recalled that there's 2 screws on the top, 2 screws on the bottom. So that means I can just unscrew one, which is great. This is great news. I take back what I said about this earlier being too many screws, because I can independently take out one and make room for my fingers to get in there and do some work, do some damage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unscrew these 2 here. I'm unscrewing the middle one because I think if I just unscrew the middle one, I'm going to be able to get into the inside and do what I need to do. And then once I'm done mounting everything, I can easily maneuver inside this. I can also easily put the batteries in, run the cables through, do everything that I need to do. So let's go ahead, and you couldn't see what I was doing there, but I was basically just unscrewing it. This comes right out. Look at that. Very simple, and I can easily reach in behind and put my whole hand in there to do whatever I need to do. So that's great. Don't have to take it all apart. So let's start off with trying to mount one of these. Now make sure you mount it the same way all the other ones are. Put it the same way. So basically this little line at the bottom here is on the bottom. I'm going to follow that pattern. I'm going to take one of these sensors, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to run one of these through. I'm going to run one of these screws through, put the spacer. I'm going to run another screw through it. This is the challenging part, because now you got to hold 2 screws in place. Run that one there, run that through, and put the other side. There we go. Very simple. Next step is, now take note that you have various options there. You don't just need to do one way. There's not just one way of mounting it. Now I'm putting in the smaller spacers on the back, giving it some space, and I'm just kind of lightly screwing these in. So these are screwed in place. That's it. Very simple. As you can see, it just goes in with 2 screws. That was very simple. Now what I would do is take your Parallax screwdriver and just give it one quick turn. Doesn't have to be too tight. Remember, you're dealing with some boards and some plastic, so you don't want to break anything either. But make sure it's tight enough where that the nut doesn't swing around freely in the back. There we go. We're mounted. The next step of this is just basically run one of these cables through the hole and you're done. All you have to do is unravel this, take off the foam, plug it in. Now, these aren't colored like the rest of Parallax's stuff. This is colored just like any other electronics, the standard red and black and white. White is typically your signal wire, black being your ground, and red being your voltage. It's easily visible here and labeled on the connector how this is going to be plugged in. And that's it. You just plug it right in and you're done. Now I'm going to unplug it really quick. The reason why is because you actually want to run it through here first, through the hole, and then plug it in and double check everything, and then kind of tuck in the wire again, making sure that there's no slack there. Just make sure it's not too tight. You're good to go. Now the wire's hidden and it's running out the back. And all you have to do is just kind of put that in there, mount it, and you have one of your sensors in place. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the same for all the other ones. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of run the cable through on each one of these. Now let's see if I can get away with just taking off one and working with it like this. It was fairly easy to do it the other way. Let's see how easy it is to do it this way. Okay, so here we have the next one. We're going to follow the same technique. Run one of these through there. Put the other one through here. There we go. Now, this is already proving to be a little bit more challenging than I thought, and I have to do one of these. Got to do one of these at a time. Thankfully, there's enough room in here for me to put my fingers in, and I'm able to mount one screw in place, or one nut. Now that one was a little harder than I thought, but I'm in there. Make sure not to move it around too much because it's not really held in tight. And there we go. I'm going to hold this one because this one's actually too deep for me to move my hand around. And I've mounted that one. Let's tighten this up. And we're good to go. Take off the foam insert and plug it in. Okay. One more. Again, be careful. I've worked with these sensors a lot, so I feel pretty confident with how I'm handling it. Be careful if it's your first time using them. You don't want to ruin the sensors. I've ruined sensors in the past, and I didn't find out that I ruined it until I figured out that my code was working 100%, and it was one of the sensors that had gone bad. And it had nothing to do with the way I touched it, just, you know, serve as a lesson of, you know, hey, sensors go bad and it could cause you many nightmares down the road. Could be anything. Wiring, could be your code. Once you start coding against it, nothing worse than troubleshooting your code and then only find out that the code you did was 100% accurate, yet alright. I got a little loose in there, but okay. So now I'm going to tighten these up. There we go. Take off the foam insert, plug in the wire, and we're done mounting. Now that was very easy to do. I guess I didn't have to take it offline for this whole process. So that was easy. Now what we're going to do is we're going to run these cables through that hole underneath the Parallax board. Now, luckily the board, there's a gap between the Parallax board and the breadboard. I was under the impression that I might have to get in there, either unscrew it or do something else. What I would do is do yourself a favor